Good morning. So today we have an unscripted coffee talk. I know this is my Christmas cup, but
Where's the camera? I feel like I'm gonna look this way.
yeah, it's on this side.
So I'm looking at myself, but it looks like I'm looking over there.
They can't tell. It's fine.
I can tell. Look like I'm looking past them.
Do you want to sit on this side?
No, I just need to know.
It's over here.
Look there. Okay.
Right there. I got my Christmas cup because it's the biggest one, and this is my second cup, but don't tell anybody. We finished MHF.
Oh, that's backwards.
Oh, yeah. So, we finished up our first load of Mustangs and a gentling clinic, and so we wanted to recap for you guys. This isn't scripted, but we just thought we'd sit and talk. Let's go back to where this started, which was, I don't know, what, almost probably 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Wanting to do a storefront. They'd come to us. They didn't have a storefront in Texas, and they told us, if we wanted to try. And we started, and took way longer than we thought. And we got discouraged a time or two and said, forget it. And then every time there'd be a new event where it would have been nice if we could offer a pickup for people in Texas, we kind of got reignited to do it. And finally done. Got approved. We got a load of 67 horses. There's only 8 left out there. There's 8 left. So, and I will say, I was very impressed with this load of horses. They sent some nice horses, good size, good weight, and it was really cool. So, what do you think of the horses showing up?
It was exciting. It was a little nerve-wracking at first. It was a lot more horses than we were originally thinking. Originally, we kind of set up thinking we'd only be able to accommodate one truckload, which is between 30 and 35 horses.
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks before we had our pickup scheduled, or I guess drop off, they said, "Hey, could you take 2 trucks?" And we're like, "Man, I guess."
Look, she thought about it. I said, "Of course." Figure it out later.
And it was fine. We had plenty of room, but we didn't have quite enough of the smaller pens to sort them off. So we had to leave them in kind of big groups, which just makes the sorting a little bit trickier. But
Yes.
we survived, got it done.
Yeah, so the worry was when we get a line of people that want their horse, that one of the horses would be out in a pack of 20. And then you have to go through the process of bringing them in. And a lot of times you have to bring them all in, because to try to take a couple, they just kind of start learning to turn back and not go in. And so I was super happy with how proficient we got at sorting. We kind of decided we were not going to use gates to sort horses, meaning we were not going to try to jam a gate in front of the third horse to stop it. The gates, I had somebody on them, but they would open them halfway, or I'd have my arm on it, and I'd have a flag to try to push one out. And if I had 2 in there and they both went out, they went out, and we circled back and did it again. We always had it set up in a way, if they both came out, no problem, set it up again. If one came out, didn't matter which one. So we tried to keep it in a way, we kind of kept the horses first and tried not to hurt anything. The last thing I wanted was someone to pick a horse that they liked, that there was all these really neat things. This is the horse they've always wanted. It would say it's a Pinto, or it's the right size, or it reminds them of a mare they lost last year. And then I pinch its head in the gate and it's limping, or I hurt its shoulder. And so what we figured out is how we could sort them with mostly our body. And when you walk into a pack of 20 in the round pen, because that's where we sorted them out mostly, you could look for volunteers. There's always going to be some that hide behind everything and some in the front. And they'd see that opening and start walking, and then I would wait. And if 3 more were filtering behind them, I'd step over and they'd stop. And sometimes that one turned back too, but it got really, really cool. Like, I kind of wish I had some videos of it, because it was so smooth so often. And I really only had one that did hit a gate, and the reason that one did, it was what I call a really clean sort. I sorted them off. One went out, one stayed in. I put the gate to the shut position. That horse turned around, saw his buddy was gone, hit the gate with his head and pushed it open, but he still went the other way and it was fine. But I wasn't gonna push it in at a horse that was running full speed. You're not gonna stop them with a gate. They're just gonna crash it. So I was surprised how good we got at sorting, because we've all watched wild horses be sorted, and it doesn't always go good. So, or maybe we haven't all watched it, but you can imagine when you're sorting a wild animal, when they get going a direction, they're very committed. So the nice thing we had enough pens for loading out on Saturday. 32, I think, is what got picked up for the challenge. And then a few got picked up Sunday. We've still had some getting picked up. So one of the biggest benefits to us being a storefront is we're flexible. Someone calls us in an hour and says, hey, I want that little sorrel gilding left out there. And we're like, okay. And if they say they can be here in an hour, come on, we'll be home and we can load them out. So we're a lot more flexible than sometimes the BLM is. Nothing against them. They just, it's different than how we live here. This is our house. So, so the loading out, it was good. There was, there's always going to be little stuff that you got to work through, and we had some of that. And there's a few adjustments I want to make to help things go smoother, help the horses make the right decisions. But all in all, it was like really cool. And getting to walk through a herd of wild horses at your house. I don't know if you've ever walked through 30 horses in a pen, but I never had.
No, it was very neat, and it was really cool to see already the different personalities in the horses. We'd go out there, and immediately there was a couple that would just start trying to hide in corners as soon as people were walking nearby. And then there was a handful that were really interested in us and would just kind of start creeping in and trying to come up and smell us and say hi. And it was really cool also to see like the friendships in the different horses. I think we had 3 or 4 different pairs of horses that were always together no matter what. And there was 2 I called the Sorrel sisters because they were almost identical, same size, from the same HMA. I think they probably were sisters and have grown up together. And I mean, these 2 were shoulder to shoulder. They'd trot around the pen together, just glued to each other. And then there was a couple of 2-year-old. There was the Pinto and the gray 2-year-old were just best buddies, and one would be napping, the other one would stand over them, and then they'd switch. And it was neat to see their little friendships that they had within the big group.
Yeah, that was really cool. And then there was one, it was I think it was a sorrel sleeping or a bay, and then there was a black one standing over it. And anytime anything got close, and this was the 2-year-old pen, it would run around and run him off, and its buddy would just lay there, and he'd run him off. And then when nothing was around, he'd paw him, and he'd like put his foot on his back. Like, it was so funny. Like, they were, and then like, it's funny because even the more scared ones, I'll do one example. I thought Olivia's horse was going to be pretty worried and it might take her a little while, and man, she got along with it. So far, what we're seeing on Facebook, she's just killing it with that horse and their friends. And sometimes those more scared ones are looking for a friend, and you take them home and you're their friend. And so they're doing awesome. And
yeah, and on that topic, her horse was a sulfur. And if you know Mustangs well, you know that sulfurs get a pretty bad rep. And I haven't gotten a count, but I would say we had at least 10 or 12 sulfurs in the group.
Yeah, probably more than that.
And so we were obviously a little worried. We assumed they wouldn't get picked, and actually all of them did get picked.
Yeah.
And just processing them, some of those sulfurs were some of the quietest ones. So
yeah,
I've changed my mind on the sulfurs a little bit, because the ones that came through here at least seem to be pretty good and decent.
Yeah, most people hold up a cross like, no sulfurs, get away, where's my garlic? Yeah. I'll say for us, so for those that don't know, when we get them in, we have a day or something to run them through and check everything and let the BLM know that the numbers match, how many we got, if the colors are right, the genders are right. And so we have to actually process everything. And so that was cool. Like she's saying, we got to kind of see how they were in the chute, and like the Sorrel sisters, one was real quiet in the chute and one was not quiet in the chute. So, they're best friends, like twins. If you ever had been around twins, they're very different personalities. And so getting to see all these wild horses' personalities, and then now watch them go on and see the kind of progress people are making. One of the quieter ones in the pen, in the group, that would walk up to the fence and smell people, our intern got, and it wasn't as quiet starting. Like you would have thought she would have started a little easier, and she actually didn't. So when it was her idea to visit people, she was good with it. When you separate her out and start working her, she she wasn't a big fan. So it's been cool to see.
Yeah, another thing I noticed, there was several of the horses that in the sorting process and moving them around and stuff were pretty panicky and, you know, what you might call fence crashers and just darting around and panicking, freaking out. And as soon as we got them in the chute, they just stood quiet. You know, being confined seemed to calm them, and they didn't fight it much. And then we had several that were actually very calm, the ones that would kind of walk up and smell you, and you know, we moved them around pretty easily. They barely got out of a trot, and then we put them in the chute, and they completely panicked.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting to see. The ones that, you know, were better out in the open, as soon as you confine them, they were not happy. And then the opposite, the ones that were more panicky, we confined them a little bit, and it calmed them down. So that was a little eye-opening for me too.
Yeah, I think we definitely tore down some assumptions we had, especially about sulfurs. And so one benefit, if you get a chance to come pick up from our place, people got to walk all the way around the pens. We already had some sorted into pens. They really got to watch them. You don't always get that benefit at maybe a BLM facility, and then the satellite adoptions, you do get that. The difference is the size of pens there, and then how long they've got to settle, because if they've had longer to settle, they're different. If you sort them out of the big pen and immediately go to work them, they're way more panicky. If you sort them into small pens, you walk by them for a half day and do chores, they're way different when you go to process them. And so if you get a chance to pick up here, reach out and come look at them, or at least watch what we post for kind of preview times, because I think it's a big benefit to be able to observe them here. And we are trainers, so we try to do for people what we would want done for us. Like, we want to be able to look at them and, you know, and really take our time. And then when we run them through the chute, we take our time. If we're going to halter them, we take our time getting their neck tag off. We pet on them in the chute a little bit to prep them and help them understand, like, hey, this is not a bad deal. And I actually think the BLM does a good job with what they do too, because for them it's a little bit different game. Like, they've got to process them several times, and they need those horses responsive and moving. And I noticed the longer we had them here and the quieter they got harder to move. So, but if they're going through the chute into your trailer to go home, quieting them down, I mean, hey, they're about to go be domesticated, so it's okay. So I can already see why they might move them a little different than we do, and keep them a little bit more
reactive.
Yeah, I don't want to say reactive, but responsive. But
yeah,
you know, moving around, because you can shoot yourself in the foot when you get them a little too chilled out, and then they quit responding to flags, and it's hard to move them. And some people that were here saw us run into that. So there's all kinds of pros and cons. But anyways, moving on, we also had a gentling clinic here, so we had 9 people stay for that, and that was pretty good, and it helped us. We're gonna try to do more of those, and so we've got to work on making some adjustments. That was our first one we've done, so imagine it'll look a lot different in 2 or 3 years how we change the approach and teaching and stuff. But we want to thank all the people that came to it, and we really appreciate you guys and your hard work. It was long days, and for us it was like a Wednesday to Wednesday deal. The horses came in Wednesday, and I was working before that, because we both were. We were trying to button up some loose ends and make sure it was ready, and you know, it's water buckets and it's fixing fence, and like for me, I was still working on the chute the day they showed up, and I was far enough along, I wasn't worried about it. Like, it got done, everything was perfect, but I'm still working on all that and making it good. And then I had a platform I was building that I never got to put out because I ran out of welding wire, and I try not to let that happen, but it happened. And so, but yeah, we appreciate all the people that stayed for that, and they seemed like they really enjoyed it and got to learn a few new ways. And for anyone watching this that did it, just don't leave your old ways behind, you know, bring them with you. Try to put compassion first. Right now, the next couple weeks, a lot of desensitizing and petting. You know, don't get in a hurry to get them super good at all the movements, because you know, you can slowly teach those, but right now you're kind of more building a relationship and hanging out with them. Now that we've helped put on some of the leading, a little bit of leading and tying and spraying off. Now you guys can go and really build a relationship and then just tie them up for a few hours a day and get them understanding that stuff. And
yeah, the more gentle and calm you get them, the easier it is for them to learn all the maneuvers they need to learn anyway. So
yeah, if you get them quiet and bring them back, we can help you with the maneuvers. So what else? Any other thoughts on the clinic or the wild horses at the ranch here?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was good. We liked it. Looking forward to doing it again. They just came out with another, I don't want to call it a makeover, Mustang training challenge, because it's not through MHF, but that one will be good. We're already working on trying to get horses for that. Also, if you want to do that one, you can pick up for Ginger's tip challenge and show in that and the ridden makeover the next week. I think that's a really good idea for a lot of people when you can't train a lot of Mustangs a year. You got a real job, like you can double dip in that. You can do a tip challenge and a makeover, and maybe you don't get them as good to ride, but maybe you win the tip challenge. To me, that is such a cool opportunity. And the other thing, you could also enter them in the Extreme Mustang race. So you can get one horse and do 3 competitions in the same year. And I'm excited for that. I think that's really set up to have a good year. And I think that might change some things in the future to do more of that and have some double, triple dipping with the same horse. So you guys don't have to get a new horse and start over, because this beginning's tough. When they're wild, they're like a deer. And so, especially if you draw good, probably one of the biggest benefits people in the clinic had, they got to look around and see 8 other horses being worked. And then it helps you say, every horse has its personality.
Yeah.
This one's more likely to pin its ears and run at you. This one's more likely to stand there and let you pet it.
They all have their own problems they gotta work through.
Even one that's quiet, it's got tricky spots. So
yeah, one of the quieter ones we had in the clinic that was pretty easygoing did not want her face touched, which obviously makes getting the halter on pretty difficult. Yeah. So, that was a struggle she had to work through and get past that. But once you get past that, then it's pretty much smooth sailing. Yeah,
and finding those hard spots while we're here to help. I think that helped her a lot. I don't know if she knew where she was going to go, and so I stepped in and I'd go in those spots. You start in the good ones and go to the bad ones, and then every time she'd rear up and throw her feet in there, I'd just bump the halter once, and when her feet were on the ground, I'd pet her again. And then there's such clarity in what I was doing and letting the owner watch. That's such a benefit. Like when Mark was here teaching the clinic last May, I was like, anytime he needed a horse to demo, I'm like, he's fine. I want to watch you, and I'll practice when you're gone. So I think letting them watch us work through some different stuff was probably one of the biggest benefits to doing the clinic. And so, but yeah, you'd be amazed how different they all are, and you can't beat yourself up too much. When you get a tougher one, and honestly, when you get an easy one, the tough days are coming. I can tell you. I don't care how easy it is. If you want to win with that horse, there will be tough days, because they need to stay with you even when they don't want to. And so it's good to keep them quiet now. Don't start battling them this week, but at some point they're going to say no, and that'll be your time to help them through things and spend the time it takes to help them understand to stay with you. So but that's probably good for now. It's been a good coffee talk. I'm going to make my next video in the next 2 days. I'm going to make some tips for tip trainers. Let's start early with the goals and things we want to do, and that way you guys can show up with the best horses and the best freestyle you can. So thanks for tuning in, and it was good. We enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next time.
Did we want to thank all the people?
Oh, okay. I thought we did, but yeah, I do want to thank everyone that showed up. I want to thank especially Mandy, Katie's mom, Claudia. I did forget to thank all the help. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Like
we could not have done it without them.
No, we had Hannah in the back. We had Nicole in the back.
Between bringing horses and shutting gates at the right time, you got to have a lot of people stationed at the gates, because you got to work quick when they're darting around and stuff. And
Ryan Kehoe was back there moving horses. Caden and Tom ended up helping later. And
Mandy's husband Clint.
Oh,
was-
Clint on the gate was
yeah,
real good.
on the trailer door. That was a very
That one went
was a
smooth.
tough job.
We only had one kick the door open yesterday 3 times. But I'll say this, the tighter your trailer is, the more likely they are to kick the door open. So if you give them a little room, somewhere to go, you're a little better off. But we want to thank Triple Crown. We're a big fan of their feed, so if you're wanting your horse to look its very best at the show, we recommend Triple Crown. We normally feed our makeover horses Triple Crown Senior, but if you have an old fat horse at home, there's also other feeds so that they don't turn into a balloon.
Balancer's really good.
Yeah.
But, our Triple Crown rep graciously sent us a big box of goodies to give to our clinic participants, along with some coupons and stuff. So that was really nice, and it worked out good because some of the little things were little sunscreen bottles, and we ended up having some sunburn happening during the clinic, which I am not complaining about, but a lot of people were not prepared for that, and so they had their little sunscreens they got to use, and that was nice. But
my lips are very chapped, so
yeah, between the sun and we had some windy days.
Yeah. But no, everyone that came out, and Tim from the BLM and Carrie from MHF, and it was awesome. The help was great, and I think they got a lot out of it too, just being able to help. So if you want to help in the future, let us know, because it is a very rewarding day.
Nicole, did you say Nicole?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Nicole, she was also in the clinic, and so
she came and she worked her butt off, and
thank you to everyone that took part, and looking forward to doing it again. Also, the Spanish Silk, one of our sponsors, and Hey Chicks, we love them. We do not use things we don't love. So if we use it, feel free to ask us about it. We love it. So that's it. That's a wrap. See you guys next time.